Welcome to What's Up Wichita. We're here with Mayor Brandon Whipple. This month, Mayor Whipple talks with Interim Assistant City Manager for Development Services Kathy Sexton to discuss the role economic development plays in our community.
Welcome to What's Up Wichita. This is your Mayor Brandon Whipple, and I'm here with Kathy Sexton, who is the Interim Assistant City Manager for Development Services. Pretty much, Ms. Sexton runs the economic development team here at the City of Wichita. Welcome to the show. So glad to have you.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate it. It's good to be here. Development Services is an exciting part of city government.
Oh, and it's frankly one that's really important. A lot of folks, I think, reach out and they talk about potholes. We talk about community safety. We talk about kind of these immediate things that we have to address. But economic development is both a short-term, mid-term, and long-term issue. And your department pretty much oversees those investments that we're making to get those short-term, mid-term, and long-term results.
It's a great way of putting it. A lot of people want to invest in their community and our businesses here and people who are trying to make a living here. You know, they have a lot invested, and we don't certainly run that, right? We're government. But as part of the leadership in this area, our development services team does have to coordinate efforts with the county folks, with the Greater Wichita Partnership folks, with Evergy for utility needs, for example. There's a lot with the state Department of Revenue, with our airports. There's a lot going on, and different aspects of our economy are needed to engage in various, whether it's bringing a business into town or whether it's growing a local business, which honestly we have the most fun with. I mean, that's the best possible thing. We have great entrepreneurs here, and if we can help them grow their business here, then we win all around.
Definitely.
The whole state wins.
Well, and we know that 70% of new jobs created in this country are coming from small businesses, and Wichita, when it comes to our history, entrepreneurship is what the city's about. I mean, we have these mom and pops type businesses that turn into national name brands, such as Pizza Hut, such as White Castle, such as Coleman, and we're looking for that to keep that entrepreneurial spirit alive. But you mentioned something I think it's really interesting, and because it's somewhat unique from the circles I find myself in. Here in Wichita, we really have this all hands on deck approach to economic growth and development. And you've mentioned this, where it's not just the city that's leading the way, going down one path and then other groups going on different paths. We partner with private industry, with our higher education institutions. Yeah. Our economic development team isn't just the folks on the floor that you work in, but it's really throughout the community. And I'm going to ask about that a little bit, but also just expand with the fact that when I'm out talking to other mayors at conferences, and we talk about economic development, a lot of people are really impressed with how we approach this, where by having a more community response to the ups and downs of the economy, we're able to bring in people who are experts in different areas and bring more voices to the table. So can you talk a little bit about not just what your department does, but really some of the folks that we partner up with?
Absolutely, because we don't really have a department. I mean, people think, well, you guys do this. No, there's like 4 people in City Hall, and half of those 4 are focused on real estate services. So that's just thinking about what land does the city need to buy for like a street project or a park project or something, but mostly like, well, what land, once we've used it for our purposes, can we surplus and can we get back out there, get back on the tax rolls, get someone to build a building, a house or a business on that. So when it comes to economic development, our key role is communication with all these different players and partners, whether it be the airports or Greater Wichita partners, the various cities. I mean, I've only worked here a short time. I've done cooperative efforts with Bel Air, with Goddard, with Park City, just on issues that are on our borders of our cities and that affect all of us. And then, of course, Greater Wichita Partnership. A lot of communities have an economic development agency that is not in city government, and we have that with Greater Wichita Partnership and the downtown organization kind of all together. But here, I agree. I'm glad you're recognized for that when you go to conferences and such, talk to other mayors, because it's a pretty strong organization. In other words, Greater Wichita Partnership is not just staff hired to do economic development, it's actually private businesses that come to the table. So not only does the city and the county give them, the partnership, a little bit of money to do all the work involved, but all these private businesses in Wichita say, yea, verily, we will give some of our money to help grow this community. And that's when you know you've got a great community. You know,
absolutely.
when businesses are willing to put their own money into getting other businesses to expand and grow and develop. And as you know, now part of the issue is the talent pipeline,
Right.
having enough people in the jobs. And we all know nobody has enough people in
Well,
any of the jobs, right?
And it's so interesting, you know, to follow economic development, and it's so important. In my role as mayor, there is no better program to pull people out of poverty than a good, well-paying job that has upward mobility. And so it's interesting to point out that folks at the table, they actually pay to be there. In many cases, is we have Textron, we have some of our big employers who aren't just, we're not leaning on them for advice, they have skin in the game in investing in the community, and so do we. And a lot of people talk about where we're at right now in the economic up and downs, and point out that, you know, one of the indicators that shows that we're doing better than I think we have in the past is our unemployment rate. Our unemployment rate right now, according to Jeremy Hill, with Wichita State University, with the economic or the economics program over there, he talks about how we're at full employment. We're right around, when he adjusts it and runs it through his formula, about 2.5% unemployment rate. Really good looking from that angle, but then when we're in these spaces with business and industry leaders, the other angle is, well, we need more employees. So when you have less people looking for jobs, then it's a hindrance to them.
Mm-hmm.
So what are you seeing with all your experience? And I know just for the folks watching, Director Sexton actually had a career over at in Derby, so you have a whole career behind you of this. Retired, and we kind of pulled you off the bench to help us out in the interim as we were looking to fill this slot where the person before you went on to be the city manager in some city in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And I kind of joke with Scott about that. But
some little city.
Yeah, some city in Oklahoma. So your experience isn't just about Wichita, but regional growth altogether. So just talk to us a little bit about the importance of developing talent and how that adds to this overarching equation that we need to be looking at.
Absolutely. You know, and I appreciate you saying that. 16 years as city manager in Derby, and before that 12 years at Sedgwick County, ending as assistant county manager. And so, I mean, I do think that, you know, thinking regionally is definitely in my DNA, loving our state and thinking that, you know, understanding there are people who drive an hour or more, you know, to their jobs, not just coming into Wichita for manufacturing jobs, good paying jobs, but other people do it all over the state as well. And so driving is something we're used to here, and that's good. But the other thing that's great about Wichita is the innovation, the entrepreneurial spirit, the manufacturing base. And so nowadays, as you know, a lot of that is all about robotics, and it's about how do we do things differently than in the past to be able to have these good companies with great jobs, but they're not riveting inside of an airplane. They're not boring. These jobs are high tech. That's how do you program the computer and the robot to make it build the airplane?
Right.
Or do so many other things. And so that is the key, I think, to future, is that we do need workforce, we need educated workforce, but we also need people to understand this is not an us or them deal anymore. We want to invest in all the innovative things and the smart ways of doing business, so that, and our companies are doing that here. And I think that's why people see Wichita as innovative, and why we continue to have so many companies, you know, look to Wichita and say, how do we be a part of this? Whether it's WSU and their innovation campus, our airports, Jabera Airport, Eisenhower Airport, and Air Capital Flight Line, which is by Spirit on South Oliver. Those are places where businesses are figuring out that they can locate or expand and be a part of this innovative environment and get the support they need. but also having skilled labor here, people who are vested in knowing that, maybe I've done this job for a while, maybe there's no growth in that, maybe I go back to Wichita Technical School or any of the other programs that are set up just to retrain people into the new economy.
To pivot. And, and I think, and I agree with you, I think that when we talk about the word innovation, a lot of folks, what does that mean? Innovation is I think, responding. It's responding to the changes in the economy, both the local and global economy. But also, one thing that gets lost when we talk about innovation, and this is just my opinion, is innovation isn't becoming the next Austin, Texas, or becoming the next Des Moines, Iowa. Innovation is becoming the next Wichita.
Yeah.
And to do that well, we have to build upon what we already do really well. And I love that you touched on this a little bit, where we are known as the air capital of the world. No place, no city in the entire world has produced more aircraft than the city of Wichita has, which means that title we still hold on to, but we're really the opportunity capital of the world when it comes to advanced manufacturing, where that skill set, that growing up, passing down that how to work on complex projects to that next generation. Our schools are set up where they're very focused on STEM. Higher education is very focused on advanced manufacturing. We are actually the #1 city for advanced manufacturing. And you talked about how we continue to feed that with our higher education programs and training programs. And I just want to compliment you and your team for this, where while we look towards advanced manufacturing, we are still changing our economic development policies to fit not only the needs of our region, but we're seeing this onshoring when it comes to jobs that normally producing products in China. Well, COVID showed us we're way too developed on the international market, dependent on the international market. We need to bring some of those jobs back to America, and some of the stuff that you have championed has actually allowed us to take advantage of utilizing our economic development policy to be ready for when those jobs come back on shore.
I couldn't have put it better myself. It is a situation where the city of Wichita, we think, is the only community in the country that's offering an incentive for airport hangars. So you're saying build these really huge buildings, knowing that you don't have a tenant yet, but there's so much interest now in so many businesses bringing their factory back to this country. And so they're all looking for spaces right now, and it's difficult to build. And so we do have several entrepreneurs in town who are able to have a piece of land, buy the steel, put up a big old building, and most of them we're finding by the time they get it up, they've already got it leased.
Right.
So before, they wouldn't invest in building. Who would build a building? I mean, these buildings cost millions of dollars.
Right.
They're huge. Who would do that without a customer, without a tenant? Well, the city put out the carrot and said, please do this, and we'll waive some taxes, and we'll help you do this. And sure enough, we've done several now. 5 are completed and completely leased, and 3 more are under construction. And this is by 3 or 4 different companies or entrepreneurs here in town. So that is a wonderful program. And I also love the other part when you say air capital of the world. We always focus on air capital. We think that means building airplanes. Well, it used to, but now it also means how do you maintain?
Right.
How do you overhaul them? How do you repair them? How do you paint them? So all these ancillary things have become mainstream with the help of WSU folks and other folks in the community to realize, maybe you made that airplane, Boeing or Airbus, years ago to haul people around, but now with some overhaul, we can make it be hauling packages, and stuff around, and carrying freight. And so, puts a whole new lease on life when it comes to these big old airplanes, right? So air capital means there's a lot of ancillary jobs. And what was it Bombardier just announced? We're the
U.S. headquarters. We're back.
Who knew?
We're back, the air capital of the world.
Yeah, they used to just build Learjets, which was pretty cool in and of itself. But now it's the U.S. headquarters, and they're focused on new and different things. That's exciting. And the of the world part, we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about that a little bit. One of our Development Services partnerships is with Kansas Global Trade Services. So Kansas Global is a wee small organization in town, but they have a strong history. What do? They help our local businesses here in Wichita figure out how to sell their stuff overseas to other countries. How do you engage in global trade? Maybe they started as a company just serving one market, usually here in the States, but maybe it was in a country. Well, now how do we get that company to go ahead and export to a different country, another country? So we actually have a contract with them and help financially. The city helps financially with Kansas Global, and they meet with us and report to us each year on these are the companies we're helping, and here's the places they're trying to export to, and here's the services we provide. That's huge.
Well, and I love talking to their leadership about what can we be doing as a city to come alongside them and the businesses that they serve to help foster growth. For example, our initiatives when it comes to trying to develop more high-speed internet, a lot of that entering international markets, it's software going up into the cloud and being sold throughout the world. And so what can we do as a city to create the infrastructure that allows for more of that innovation, and then partnering with places like global trade so that businesses can grow and prosper. And I do just want to touch on, we throw around terms like MRO, and I'm a simple guy. I try to describe it this way, where it's building upon what we do well already. MROs are pretty much the Meineke of airplanes. Like, you need an oil change, you need a place to land a plane to get your plane worked on. Our geographical location, the fact that we have multiple municipal airports, and our skill set, our folks who work and maintain airplanes for so long, we are the perfect ingredients to create this part of our economy. And I love that we are actually having our policy, thanks to your leadership, match the need and demand so that we can continue to grow.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that. I can't take credit for much, though. I've only been here since February, and I've enjoyed being here, to be real honest. Good quality staff here in the city, a lot of good history here. It is indeed, and I hate to think that people think we're the city versus the country, the rest of the state.
Oh, no.
We all go together. I know so many
We're the heart
people.
of the country.
There
We're
you
all in
go.
this together.
There
yes.
you go. That's right. And, I do think that Kansas is a big state geography-wise, but we're a small state people-wise. And I think there's an awful lot of folks who work in our city hall here who wear cowboy boots to work. You know what I mean? A lot of people here live on a farm or own a farm, and that's what's great. Another thing about our changing economy is that we're all in this together, and it is about supporting our agribusiness, our farming, our small farms, our family farms, our way of life. That is critical to our state, but yet also having manufacturing jobs and good paying jobs with benefits, and that's what I think is a long-standing but also forward-looking kind of strength of Wichita, that there's all kinds of things here for talented people to benefit from and to be a part of.
And to grow from as well.
Grow from, absolutely.
Well, Kathy, we absolutely appreciate not only your expertise and experience, but I'll tell you as mayor, I appreciate just being able to have side discussions with you about the economy and lean on that just to help my perspective so that I can be a better policymaker moving forward. So thank you so much for making yourself available to not just to here with your professional talents, but also to the council when it comes to just helping us grapple with these changes within the economy and have an experienced person like yourself to lean on. So thank you so much for being on the show and for all the work that you've been doing over the last few months. I don't know if you give yourself enough credit where you say, well, I've only been here a few months. We've done a lot during that time. I don't think we've been able to modernize our economic development policy to the same extent as during your tenure and also during Scott's tenure before you, as we have in the past, and it's really because of that forward-looking leadership like yourself. So,
thank you, Mayor. And let me just say, the policy guidelines that you all have made here over the last couple of years, it is good, and it's a leader. I mean, all the smaller communities, they look to, let's get online on wichita.gov/economic, right? You go to that page, wichita.gov/economic. You can find out all these different policies and procedures, and there's so many businesses. What did the city give me? And I said, well, look at the policy, because that is a strength. Believe it or not, In government, what business wants from government, I have learned over many years, is consistency. They want to know that they're getting a good deal, but they're getting the same deal the other businesses in town are getting. And that we're not going to change the rules or make them up on the fly, but we have rules written down and applies to everybody. And that by itself supports business.
Oh, absolutely. Well, thank you again, Kathy, for being on the show. Just want to take this moment to recognize our incredible staff at our Parks and Recreation Department. They are actually a gold medal finalist for the National Park and Recreation Award, and we wanted to show off their work with this upcoming video.
Hi, I'm Councilmember Brandon Johnson, and welcome to Wichita. We have wonderful amenities here, and over the last 7 years, we've spent over $100 million on facility upgrades. But what sets us apart? It's our amazing staff and team that brings awesome programming to our city.
The last several years have been hard on all of us. The economic and mental toll on our communities will have ripple effects for decades to come. That's why it's so crucial for Wichita Park and Recreation to find innovative ways to keep going, especially at a time when our community needed it most. During the shutdown, when stores and offices closed their doors, Wichita reacted by going outside. We saw an incredible expansion of use of our parks and shared community spaces. While most industries slowed down, we saw an opportunity to ramp up. We discovered quickly that parks are an essential service. While times were difficult, Wichita Park and Recreation saw the silver lining and found ways to be productive. One way was through progress on our aquatics master plan. Although closures of pool and splash pads during the pandemic disappointed many in the community, the shutdown allowed the city to speed up renovations planned in our aquatics master plan. And while some services across the city were shutting down, our staff were opening things up. At the beginning of the pandemic, staff opened up a newly renovated Nafsker Park, a fun, modern space that has seen 550% increased usage since opening. Staff ramped up programming to help bring the community together even when they had to be physically apart. From movies to symphonies to concerts and more, Nafsker Park became a socially distanced, safe space even during the pandemic. Maintaining a diverse array of public spaces and activating those spaces is what we do. Staff manages millions of dollars in capital improvement projects every year, including dedicated funds for athletic courts, playgrounds, and facility enhancements to keep our assets safe and in tip-top shape for residents. From golf courses to parks to zoos to even protected wetlands and natural spaces, our staff works to maintain beautiful spaces for our residents and native wildlife. Since 1901, a zoo has been located in Riverside Park. The zoo features native creatures who cannot be released into the wild. Rain, shine, snow, or pandemic, staff care for the animals daily, and noon feeding times grew in popularity during COVID-19. Wichita has a diverse community with varied interests. You can find pickleball or tennis buffs at our newly renovated Ralph Wohl's Riverside Tennis Center, or golfers at Auburn Hills, or one of 3 other high-quality courses. It's important to Wichita Park and Recreation to reflect the diverse interests and backgrounds of the community in our amenities and programming. One way staff has done that is by working with community groups to honor and inspire past prominent figures. Reggie's role in the community to address social justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion has him working with the state association on these topics across the state of Kansas. In Northwest Wichita, we worked to activate a dormant public space. We invested in revitalizing and adding shade and other amenities to our city's historic Nomar Square. Located in a largely Hispanic area of the city, we've worked to use the space to highlight local small business, cultural events, and even a citywide celebration that brought folks from across the city to gather and support the neighborhood. We could list statistics all day to sing the praises of the amenities you'll find with Wichita Park and Recreation. But at the end of the day, our most valued asset is our people. The resourcefulness and dedication to our city is immeasurable. Our staff show their dedication to our community every day. They don't have an 8-to-5 job. They have a passion and a calling for serving the community that shines through in all they do.
Thanks for watching this episode of What's Up Wichita. I try to be as responsive as I can on social media, so please be sure to reach out to me or email me at bwhipple@wichita.gov. Also, if you're interested in being on air with a question, feel free to utilize either a video or shoot us an email with that question at social@wichita.gov. Thanks again for joining us. Look forward to seeing you next time.